The story begins with the introduction of Xia, a 21-year-old aspiring actress. She wants to play a leading role in a film or television series, but hasn't had any success so far. Therefore, to make a living, she works as a kissing guide for other actors. One rainy night on her way home from work, she is approached by a mysterious guy who introduces himself as Bai. He hands her a comic book and disappears all of a sudden. Later, when Xia arrives home, she sits on the couch and starts reading the comic book. Suddenly, the weather changes and she starts hearing strange noises. To her shock, she finds herself inside the world of the comic book she was reading. There, the host Bai welcomes her and informs her that she is the female lead in the story. He explains that her kisses can cure many poisons, but the first kiss has a binding effect, so she must use it wisely. Her mission is to find the male protagonist, who is the prince of this nation. After that, she must fall in love with him and marry him. Only then can she leave the comic world and become a leading female star in her real life. Hearing this, Xia becomes happy and sets out to find her Prince Charming. Moments later, she accidentally enters a room where the comic's villain, Shi, is killing someone. According to the comic, the man is supposed to be the head of the embroidery department. Our girl is terrified of him and tries to leave, but she drops a tiny bag. When Shi touches the bag, he immediately faints. As it turns out, the bag contains poison. His guards then try to attack Xia, thinking she's responsible for hurting their boss. Just then, our heroine remembers that her kiss can heal any poison, but it comes along with a binding effect. At this moment, she disregards the consequences and decides to kiss Shi Yi to save him. Shortly after, he wakes up and attacks her for trying to murder him. However, he quickly realizes that nothing he can do can hurt her. Xia then recalls bumping into a dancer when she was trying to leave and assumes that the poison bag must belong to her. She shares this information with Shi Yi, but he doesn't believe her and locks her in a room. Later, Xia pulls out her phone to read the next plot of the comic. She discovers that Shi Yi is indeed a ruthless and nasty character. Soon, he reappears and tries to kill her, but no matter what he does, he can't hurt her. Shortly after he leaves, Bai appears in front of our girl. He explains that since she kissed Shi Yi first, they are now bound to each other. So, she must find a way to separate herself from him and marry the prince. Afterward, Xia discovers that every time she kisses Shi Yi, she gains reward points. Since she's already earned some, she uses them to purchase an invisibility cloak. She then wanders around the place wearing it, and no one notices her. Soon, she comes across Shi Yi taking a bath and finds him very attractive. Thinking he can't see her, she tries to throw crabs in his bathwater, but surprisingly he catches her and asks what she's doing. She says that it's a late-night snack she prepared for him, but he doesn't believe her and once again locks her in the room. In the next scene, our heroine realizes that Shi not only can't harm her, but also can protect her from danger. Whenever she tries to hurt herself or finds herself in danger, he always shows up to save her. One evening, when some enemies arrive to try to attack her, Shi steps in to protect her. He even kisses her, shocking everyone around. Later, he explains that he kissed her because he thought he was poisoned. She teases him about being a lousy kisser, so to prove her wrong, he kisses her again with passion. This increases her rewards points, which makes her overjoyed. Several days later, Shi brings Xia to host a banquet where they pretend to be in love with each other. She has no idea what's going on, but he asks her to cooperate and do what he says. After a while, some ministers take him aside for a conversation. Taking advantage of the moment, our girl tries to leave, but she's soon knocked unconscious by a mysterious person. A while later, she wakes up in a dark room and realizes she's been kidnapped by the dancer who tried to kill her hero days ago. The woman says that she didn't expect the cold-hearted Shi Yi to be tempted by someone. Xia says she can help her get rid of Shi Yi and suggests they work together. However, the man next to the dancer doesn't trust her and mentions how she and Shi Yi were all over each other at the banquet. Having no other option, Xia spends all her rewards points on a pill that gives her incredible strength. She then attacks a large number of men and tries to run away. However, the effects of the pill wear off, and one of the men gets the upper hand on her. Certain he will kill her, she closes her eyes, but suddenly, Shi appears out of nowhere and saves her. While they're leaving, she checks her score and discovers all her reward points are gone. The system then warns her that if her score goes negative, she will lose her personal freedom. Xia looks at Shi and tries to kiss him for some reward points, but he stops her. He thinks she's a witch because he can't help but come forward to save her whenever she's in danger. In response, she tells him that it's a side effect of their kiss and that they are now bound. She also wants to know how to break the bond, but she must return home to find out. Hearing this, our hero finally agrees to send her home. In the following scene, Xia returns home and meets her sister Leon. She scolds her because she was the one who sold her out to the kidnappers. Leon cries and promises that she will never do something like that again. It's also revealed that she's writing a romantic novel in which Xia and Shi are the main leads. This pisses off Xia, but Leon apologizes and says she got carried away after seeing them so close at the banquet. She asks Xia to allow her to finish the novel, and when it's published, she will change their names and identities. Later, our hero arrives and engages Xia in a conversation. She tells him not to worry because she will soon marry the prince and it will permanently break their connection. However, he reveals that he's in charge of protecting his highness, so he must keep a close eye on her to ensure she doesn't hurt him. The next day, Xia goes to meet the prince, but he simply ignores her. He appears to be more interested in Leon than her. When he realizes that the two are sisters, he finally decides to talk to her. He believes she's looking for a job and offers her a chance to work for him, which leaves Xia confused. Later, some enemies approach the palace, and when Xi tries to stop them, he is wounded by a poisoned weapon. Meanwhile, Xia is with the prince, and she is already bored listening to him, as he constantly praises himself and talks about what the women in the palace do for him. However, suddenly, an unusual force transports her to Shi Yi's location, where she immediately kisses him. This saves him, and also earns her reward points. Meanwhile, Leon sees the romantic scene and decides to write it down for her novel. Just then, the prince notices her and arrogantly believes that she is writing about her feelings for him. Before Leon has time to explain, he begins to boast about how good-looking he is. He then flirts with her and claims that he likes her more than her sister. However, she is completely put off by his behavior and leaves. Afterward, the man who poisoned Shi earlier is captured and tortured. He is shocked that our hero survived the poison and warns that both the prince and Xia are in danger. Worried about their safety, the prince and the sisters decide to leave the city together. Moments later, Shi also arrives to go with them. Leon looks at him and finds it romantic that he's there to protect her sister. When she keeps staring at him, the prince becomes jealous. He tells our hero that he doesn't need his protection and tells him to return to the embroidery department. However, Shi Yi cannot bear to leave Xia alone, so he insists on accompanying them. Sometime later, our girl tries to poison the prince's snack to kiss him and bind with him. However, Shi notices this and eats the poisoned snack himself. With no other option, she kisses him to save him, and soon after, she passes out. The system then informs her that a new level has been unlocked, and she wakes up to find herself alone in a carriage. She steps outside and finds the place a mess. Out of nowhere, a man throws a sword at her, but Shi intervenes just in time. However, in the process, he ends up getting stabbed. As he's on the verge of death, Xia desperately cries and calls for Bai. He soon appears and explains the only way to separate them is for him to die. But she says she doesn't want it to end this way and pleads with him to save Shi Yi. After this, she uses her final resource in the game, and miraculously, he comes back to life. They then return to the palace where she treats his wounds and cares for him. Shi is confused by the modern medicine box she has taken out, but she tells him it doesn't matter where they came from as long as they can heal his wound. Meanwhile, at Leon's home, she is very worried about her sister. It turns out that the carriage had been attacked earlier and they had to flee, leaving Xia behind. She feels guilty and cries, but the prince tries to console her and promises to find her sister. On the other hand, Xia and Shi Yi are having fun, eating fried chicken and drinking beer. Soon the booze kicks in and he carries her to her room. She then cries in frustration for connecting with a villain like him and messing up the game. He doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, but nonetheless gives her a sweet kiss. Later, after Xia falls asleep, he finds her phone and starts reading the plot of the comic. He is furious when he learns that she will help the others murder him so that she can be with the prince. When our girl awakens, he confronts her about this, but she claims that none of this is real and that things have changed since they first met. Our hero doesn't believe her, and he draws his sword to strike her. However, he passes out due to fatigue and exhaustion. Seeing him, Xia decides that she will protect him and change the course of the plot. The scene then shifts to a flashback where we learn that Shi Yi is actually the queen's grandson, but she has always been so hateful and horrible to him. She even went so far as to change his name and sent him to work in the embroidery department of the palace. After some time, he wakes up to find Xia next to him. Suddenly, he grabs her neck and tries to choke her. At that moment, the system reminds our girl that everything between her and Shi is now over, and she faints. Seeing this, Shi quickly lets her go and applies medicine to her bruises. When she wakes up, he apologizes, saying he doesn't know why he acted like that. However, Xia understands that the system made him do this, so she forgives him. Meanwhile, the queen is scheming to get rid of Shi. She falsely accuses him of plotting against the crown and sends her men to imprison him. To further hurt him, she orders the prince to marry Xia. Despite his intense feelings for Leon, the prince can't disobey her, so he reluctantly obeys her command. Later, he goes to see Leon, who is upset that her sister still has not returned home. The prince then tells her about his marriage to Xia, which upsets her even more. Once again, the self-absorbed prince thinks she's upset because she has feelings for him. But in reality, she is only concerned about her sister. While they're talking, Xia finally arrives home, and her sister rushes to hug her. Leon promises to help her, and she run away. However, our girl says that she's ready to marry the prince, leaving both of them shocked. Meanwhile, we see our hero in jail, where one of his men informs him about the marriage. This angers him so much that he decides to escape from the prison. Meanwhile, Bai visits Xia and congratulates her on making the right choice this time. He advises her to return to the storyline and reach the finale with the male lead. However, she just smirks, as it seems she has a different plan in mind. Days later, it's Xia and the prince's wedding day. However, the one dressed in the bride's attire is actually her sister, Leon. While the two talk, a guard arrives with the news that Shi has escaped from prison. This makes Leon very happy, and she's convinced it's the power of love. The guard then asks the prince to come with him to see Shi. But before he can finish speaking, the dancer from earlier arrives and stabs him. She then tells the prince that luck is not on his side this time. Meanwhile, Xia meets Shi, and the two have an emotional reunion. Following this, the couple reach the palace to confront the queen. At that moment, the dancer also appears claiming to have killed the prince and Leon, who died holding hands. The ruthless queen then orders her to get rid of Xia and Shi as well. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts to fight back, our couple is eventually killed. At that moment, Bai shows up and after looking over the scene, believes he can finally finish his work. However, the system reminds him that it's not over yet. After this, he resets the game and everything goes back to the beginning of the story when Xia first arrived. However, she hasn't lost her memories at all. Shortly after, Shi shows up and passionately kisses her. Bai is surprised since he didn't expect the villain to retain memories as well. Following this, the prince and Leon also return, remembering everything, and the four of them celebrate their new lives. In the following scene, Xia and Shi confront the queen again, but this time someone unexpectedly kills her. Our heroine understands that this is the tragic end of her sins. Just then, she notices Shi is getting weak, but he assures her that it's nothing. Later, she talks to Bai and asks him about Shi's condition. He tells her that because he's an NPC, a non-playable character, he broke the rules, and the system is now being formatted. He clarifies that the only way she can save him is to complete the original story and return to her world. As the days pass by, Shi gets weaker and weaker, while Xia stays by his side. One day, she asks him to marry her, and he gladly accepts. While they prepare for the wedding, our girl is sad because she knows this is not her real life. Eventually, our beloved couple gets married, and Xia tells him how happy she is that he is her first love. That night, they share a drink to celebrate their union and finally make love. The following morning, she awakens but can't find him anywhere. She realizes that the game has finally ended and that his character has been formatted. Following this, she is also brought back to her real world. She returns to the place where she first met Bai and summons him, but he doesn't appear. Devastated, she breaks down in tears, thinking about how happy she was with Shi. Just then, a voice from behind her tells her not to cry anymore. It turns out to be Shi, and Xia immediately rushes to hug him. He reveals that this time he came to her world to be with her. Our girl is over the moon to have him back, and she tells him not to leave her ever again. In the final scene, Xia wakes up at a shooting location surrounded by several people. The director informs her that their drama has wrapped up and congratulates her on her excellent work. Xia's confused because she's merely a kissing guide. However, he tells her that she's the best actress in the country and their drama is going to be a huge hit. They then take a picture to celebrate this moment, and with this, the story comes to an end.